Alex, how do I compete against Fiverr or against other web designers?
Hello, what's your name?
I don't compete. And what does that look like is I don't take part of what they're doing. So if you don't want to compete with an industry that is saturated, then do the opposite of what that market is actually doing, right? So if you think about it logically, I don't want to compete with Fiverr. Okay, great. Can we all does anybody here want to compete with Fiverr, by the way? Can you put a no or yes on the chat? How many of us want to compete with Fiverr or with other people that are lowballing web design services? Daniel says no way. Shayla, no. Yeah, don't want to compete with them. I suffered with that for a while. Luther says no, hell no, right? Like nobody here, seeing all these no's, nobody here wants to compete. So the logical thing to do, if you don't want to compete with that, is by literally doing the opposite of what they're doing. So when people talk to you, there's not a trace of, man, you smell like someone who is like a Fiverr. Like you give me Fiverr-ish vibes. So take a look at Fiverr. What does Fiverr do? What do you guys see? And again, you guys feel free to unmute yourself, um, you know, and as we jam together. But I want you to think of that for a second. What do you see in Fiverr? If you're observing Fiverr for the first time, or we're just seeing it from a different lens, what do you guys see? Here, and let me do this. I'll make it even easier. Bradley says they're trying to sell you. Yeah, it smells like Fiverr to me. Let me show you what it looks like. So here's what it looks like. Find the right freelance service. Okay. By the way, for the record, I never want to be associated with the word freelance. Why in the world would I want to have free in front of my lance? I'd rather be an expensive lancer or a problem solver lancer or anything but freelance. So we're already starting with the wrong foot here on this, right? So number one, I don't tell people I'm a freelancer because I'm not, right? So that's one. Find the right freelancer service right away. Okay. So we started with literally the wrong foot of, like, I started with the wrong foot. Like there's no way I identify. I'm not a freelancer and I don't sell services and I don't do it right away. Right? So now let's take a look here. Let's go to web design. Okay, great. Let's take a look. Think about this, guys. I promise you, if you are here with me, this is gonna make a huge difference. I promise you. Stick with me, okay? Take a look at this. I will expertly build WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace website. Okay. I will Wix website redesign. Redesign WordPress website with Elementor. I will convert Figma. I will create a branding passive income with Shopify store dropshipping. I will design and develop clean modern business website. Guys, how many times does the word website shows here, and design and professional website and UX and UI and all of these different things? Can you guys see this? Everyone is talking about the same thing. Web design, Squarespace, Wix, UX, UI, PSD. This right here is beautiful. I love it, Bradley. They're all showing their underwear, right? They're all showing their underwear. What this to me is the aisle of IKEA, where you can find all of the parts for a greater strategy. The strategy is worth more than the actual nuts and bolts. If you cannot find a way in putting it all together, the piece is not valuable at all. Think about that for a second. The strategy is worth more than the actual piece itself, because that is the blueprint that's going to put everything together to create a different result. And if you don't believe me, go to IKEA and buy a piece of furniture and tell them you don't want the instructions and tell me how your weekend is going to go. So the value is the most important. So the way I see Fiverr and the way to not compete with Fiverr is by not being like them. I don't sell parts like IKEA, like I'm a shelf in IKEA. I'm not selling these parts. I am offering a strategy to a problem worth solving. So it all stems from my offer, right? So when we talk about competition, guys, the easier way to compete with Fiverr is by not competing with Fiverr, is by stop talking like this. Because think about it. If you have a prospect and you say my websites are $10,000, and you're like, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Oh, and you said I do a WordPress website and I get it done in 30 days and I'm charging you 10,000. Here's what they're gonna do. Well, this guy sells a WordPress website. This guy, so why in the world is this guy selling 100, 80, 35? Like, it makes no sense on your prospect's mind. And what's happening here is you gotta understand your prospects, they're not sophisticated people as far as the digital world. This is our domain. This is not their domain. They know law, they know chiropractic, they know products, they know all these different things. But this whole web thing is so new to them that they're like, they have no idea, right? So for Bradley's question, the way we compete is by not competing and by doing the opposite of that. So here are some items that you might take in consideration. If you have a website and you're talking about your services like this, consider looking at your offer. It all stems from your offer, guys. By the way, it's not just going in there and changing the wording of your website. It's by literally going into your offer, crafting an offer. And if you don't know what that is, we had a conversation last week where we were talking about the difference between an offer and fulfillment, drawing the line in the sand. So make sure you watch that replay in school. And create an offer that is what I like to call a take my money offer, right? Which is something that when you present to somebody, they're like, there's no way, like, take my money, right? And then once you get your offer, then you start changing things on your website. Here's one of the biggest pitfalls is you might hear me say something and you're like, I'm gonna go and change my website right now. Guys, I promise you that's like putting a little band-aid on the boo-boo. Like that's not the actual solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is by being able to go into your offer, see your offer from a standpoint of, does this thing actually solve a problem worth solving? And if it doesn't, what else can you do, or what resources can you get access to, or what else can you do to deliver a solution to a bigger problem? That's your offer. And then once you get clarity on your offer, then on your website, you can articulate it. You can communicate that. On your social media accounts, you can communicate that. So I know that is a very long-winded answer, guys, but that is literally the best way to not compete with anybody specific, especially Fiverr. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments on what I shared? I'm catching up here on the chat. Yep, 50 people are doing the same thing or having a similar offer. Yeah, by the way, they're not doing offers. They're literally selling services. Because if you said offer on Fiverr, it would say, something else than freelancer selling services. So it's just a different game. Oh shit, I'm taking it on my resume now. Which part? The freelancing part? Freelancer? Yes, I'm connecting with you. Karen says it looks the same. Yes, they're all showing their underwear. This is powerful. Great to hear. I really needed to hear this. It's happening too fast.
See you on the next video.